Friends, are you ready to do some more art? You are going to be doing a watercolor narwhal today. And so you are going to grab your watercolor paper. It's really thick paper. It has a side that is smooth and a side that is a little bit rougher. You want to paint on the rough side. You are also going to need your narwhal template. You are going to need a pencil. You are going to need some salt. You are going to need rinse water and a paper towel, and then you're just gonna need a paintbrush. Get one that's bigger. This is a fan brush. Don't get a teeny tiny brush to start with, okay? So go, oh, I forgot one of the most important things, watercolors. So my watercolors might be the same as you. They might look a little different, just whatever was in your kit. Go grab those and be ready to go. All right, now that you have all of your supplies, you're gonna take your sticker and you're going to bend the paper so that you can peel out the narwhal. Peel it out carefully because since you are at home, if you tear it, I cannot get you a new one. So very carefully going around. I've got a little spot I'm gonna have to pop out of there. All right. Hopefully yours comes out easier than mine does. Anyway, peel it all the way out. Very carefully. This is trash, so you can just toss it off to the side. I have a couple spots. Oh, looky there, that's coming off. So I have my narwhal. He's sticky because he is a sticker. You're gonna put your narwhal somewhere on your paper. I've got one little part that I've got to get out. Okay, he's ready to go. So I'm just gonna take my narwhal and I'm going to place him on my sheet. I put him right about the middle of my sheet. Then I take my fingers and I'm just gonna rub him down. I wanna make sure I don't have any air bubbles. And so when I'm rubbing him down, I'm especially on the edges, making sure I don't have any air bubbles. Now, you need your rinse water and your paint, and I don't remember if I said salt or not. If you haven't gotten salt, you just need a salt shaker. You can also get one of these. The salt is gonna make us have crystals around the outside edges of our water and our narwhal, which looks really, really cool. So what you're gonna do is you're actually gonna take your brush and putting it in the water, and I am gonna paint my sheet all over, and I am going to make it wet. We are doing what is called in the art world a wet on wet painting. This is gonna help with the salt because the salt crystals will not grow unless your paper is pretty wet, okay? So take a brush, generally you're gonna need a bigger one. Go ahead and paint, paint, paint. You don't want it like runny water, you just want it damp all over. All right, once you have done that, mine, it's not like you can really see from here, but I do have mine all wet. I'm gonna get my brush wet again. I'm dipping it in the water, and I'm gonna start just with a blue. So I dip, and I'm getting this paint watery. So I'm dipping in the water, rubbing it, dipping in the water, rubbing it some more, and I really just wanna have very wet watercolors. I'm gonna do the same thing in the purple, because I'd like to use some purple. So purple and blue are really the colors that I'm gonna stick to. Since I'm doing this, I will go ahead, if you have a pink or you have a red mixed with white, red mixed with water turns pink. So anyway, once I have all of that, I've got my brush nice and wet, I'm gonna dip in the blue and I'm gonna paint around the narwhal. Now, if you can see, I'm actually touching the narwhal. So I am going to go all the way around. I'm using the blue. Let me turn the paper this way a little bit. I'm gonna rinse my brush. I'm gonna grab some of that purple. I'm actually gonna mix the purple and the blue right on top of each other. So as I get the blue on there, my paper is already wet. I work in the blue and, ooh, that turned out really nice. And watch your colors. They're gonna look really, really cool. You can even take some of the pink and you can blend in a little bit of the pink. The colors, if you will use all three of them and make them overlap each other, your salt will make much better crystals than if you just use one color. Now I know sometimes painters want to paint like, well, let me paint the whole thing purple. Don't do that. Use all three colors at once. So purple and blue, I actually just mixed them in my tray. Plenty of water to keep it wet. Add a little bit of pink anywhere you want it to be. And let's see, I'm back to my blue and I'm gonna get it watery. The one thing that will not happen is if you allow this to dry, if your paint is not wet enough, you are not gonna get any salt crystals, and the salt crystals are what make this painting look really, really cool. So, alrighty, I've pretty much got my whole thing covered. I've got a few edges that are not, but you can see that I've mixed, ooh, look at that. I can take that, it's running off my page, so I can stamp it down like that, which I really like. Okay, so see all my different colors. Now, once I have all of that, I actually see a spot that doesn't have a whole lot of color to it, so I'm gonna put some purple and blue there. All right, I'm gonna take my salt. If you have a salt shaker, you can just shake it on, but I have a container, and so I'm gonna pour it in my hand. I'm gonna pinch and sprinkle. I don't want giant puddles of salt because those don't work nearly as well as just the sprinkling. So if you'll go ahead, sprinkle your salt. When you're done, you can just put your salt, I'm just dumping it right into my water, and then you can go wash your hands. Now, this has to sit, and those crystals have to have a chance to grow. So don't do anything just yet. Set a timer for 10 minutes. When the timer goes off, come back and we'll be ready for the next part. Okay, your salt should be dry. You are actually gonna take either a paper towel or just your hand, and you're gonna wipe the salt off of your canvas. Now, I don't have really awesome crystals like I've gotten sometimes, but it still looks really cool and you can see some of the crystals. Once you have the salt brushed off into, don't just do it on your mom's floor, put it in the trash can. Sorry, my apron is messing up. You are going to very carefully peel your narwhal sticker all the way off, very carefully. Now you can reuse him for something else if you want to, or if you just throw him in the trash, that's fine too. I'm just gonna throw mine in the trash. So what I have is the ocean around my narwhal, and then here is my narwhal. Now, I am going to start by making eyes. In order to make my eyes nice and round, I'm gonna need a pencil, and then I'm gonna need a shape to trace. So I look for something like this paint bottle, where this is way too big. And so I'm gonna need to look for something that is round that would be the perfect size of the eyeballs. So go find something that you like that is round, and meet me back in just a minute. Okay, I'm back, and what I found was a button. And so I'm gonna put my camera down just a little bit. I'm gonna figure out where I want my eyes. There's gonna be 2 of them. And I am going to hold the button with one finger while I carefully trace around the button with the other finger. That gives me, you can see that, a nice round eye. I'm gonna repeat that with the same button. And this way too, I can measure if I want them like overlapping or if I want them separated. So I'm gonna go around the outside of that one. Now, once I've gone around the outside of it, I can do one of 2 things. I can get my Sharpie and trace around it, which is what I'm gonna do. Give me just a second, I'm gonna leave you hanging there. I'm walking over here, and I'm getting Sharpie. So, here's my Sharpie. And I didn't wanna do the tracing, or I didn't wanna trace the button with the Sharpie because I didn't wanna accidentally make a mistake and have it in permanent marker. Pencil erases, but Sharpie doesn't. So now I'm gonna trace around the outside. I didn't even do a great job, but it's gonna look cool when I'm done. Okay, so I've traced, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a line right here so that I can separate my narwhal's horn, and then I'm gonna paint that in just a minute. Now with my eyes, I am going to make those dots in the middle of my eyes to make them cute. And I'll show you mine in just a minute. There they are. And then I'm gonna use that Sharpie, and I'm gonna color the eyes in a nice solid black. Now I'm gonna get my eyes all the way colored before I get any more watercolor out, because you don't wanna get your Sharpie wet. If you get your Sharpie wet, it's ruined and it will probably need to go in the trash. So go ahead and do your eyes how you want them, and then you're ready to come back to me, and we're gonna paint our narwhal. All right, so my eyes are done, and I added a little mouth. And so now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna watercolor paint it. So you have your watercolors. You gotta be careful because you do not want to do your narwhal the exact same color as the ocean. And so like there I have a nice orange. And I'm actually gonna take my orange and I am going to add pink to it because I like the way that looks. And so that's the color I'm gonna make my narwhal. Now I wanna make sure I go around my eyes, but I can go right on top like that, oopsie, like that. And so once I'm done with that, then I can take, well, let me just finish this. So go ahead and paint your whole entire narwhal, any color you want, however you want, and then we'll come back and I'm gonna show you the last thing I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm done with mine, and all I did was, in your bag or package, you have some little stickers, and so I gave my narwhal some sticker friends, and she's done. Oh, unless I wanted to add eyelashes, but again, I need to wait until the paint is dry. So, hope you had fun making your watercolor narwhal.